Welcome to our mini-series, Get High on the High Holidays, a sequence of 5 mini classes that will inspire, enlighten, and uplift you in preparation of the high holiday season. Today I'm going to talk about inventory. For those of you who run tight ship businesses, you know that as the end of a fiscal year winds down and the new one is on the horizon, you have to figure out what went well and what needs fixing. We all experience times in our businesses that are where we're flying high, where we're acing it, where our business is booming. And even in those businesses that are doing beautifully, there are always the things we could tweak. There are always the things we could take out, we could fix. This is really what Elul is. Elul is a stock taking, a time where we look at the spreadsheet, we look at the P&L report, and we see what are we low on, what are we good on, and how can we do better next year. Those of us who live in a democracy have a hard time imagining what it's like to be in the presence of a king, or what it's like to interact with a king, or even to see a king, pass by in a parade. We are used to every human being has equal playing field. We're all in this together. But in the times in history where we did have monarchies, where we did have kings and queens, that experience was very moving and very inspiring. Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi, the author of the Tanya, tells of the month of Elul in a story about the king. He says that, in days of old, when there was a king who was the absolute monarch of a country, people would be excited to steal a glance, to get a glimpse of this great leader who was all-powerful and by whose word the whole country and the whole kingdom is run. Yet, once a year, the king would don his regular clothes and walk amongst the peasants in the field and greet them with warmth and love, ask them how they were doing and see what he could do to help, kind of like we see politicians doing, when they're on the campaign trail. And this, Rabbi Shneur Zalman says, is what it's like for Jewish people in the month of Elul. When we are out there doing our thing, it's not a big holiday, it's not Yom Kippur where we're fasting or Rosh Hashanah where we're spending hours in the synagogue, but it's just a time where we're living our lives. And yet there's something unique about this time. There's some special grace that God is showing us. And those of us who are privy to this make sure to tap into this, to up our game in terms of our being in touch with our Jewishness. Maybe it's the time for you to check your mezuzah on your front door and make sure it's in good repair. Maybe it's the time for you to empty out all the tzedakah boxes in your house, count up the money and donate it to a good cause. Maybe it's the time to commit to doing a mitzvah better, or doing a mitzvah that you haven't done before. So this is the time that, because God is so accessible, because God is so approachable, this is the time where we want to go out and express our goodwill and interact in these ways by these mitzvahs, which are touch points with God, so that we can invoke His grace and His blessing and His divine favor for a sweet and a happy and a healthy new year. But once Rosh Hashanah comes, when we blow the shofar and the morning dawns, then God is in the palace. Access isn't as easy, it's complicated. You have to know someone, you have to make an appointment of a certain stature. But when God is out with us in the field, when the King is out in the field, everyone can come, everyone can approach Him. As we go through the days of Elul, to think about this, to be mindful of this, to realize the opportunities that are that are literally strewn in the fields, we would be wise to take advantage of that and to button up our Jewishness and see how we can make it better. Wishing you a wonderful, sweet, happy, healthy New Year, and make the most of the days we have left before Rosh Hashanah.